The air is cool, still, and hums with a low, almost subliminal frequency, the distant echo of a forgotten language, a synthesized lament projected from unseen speakers. Before you, translucent screens, thin as whispers, ripple like heat mirages in a desert. It's a multimedia installation, a piece titled The Cartographer's Ghost by the Émigré artist Kaylin Vask. On these veils of polymer, fragmented ancestral symbols, the geometry of an ancient tapestry, the curve of a forgotten script, slowly dissolve and reconstitute into the stark, pixelated grid of a contemporary cityscape, a satellite view of a place you cannot name, but whose anonymity feels universal. This isn't just a collection of images. It's a living cartography of loss, a spectral atlas mapping a journey not of distance but of being. The experience is profoundly disorienting, a deliberate act of unsettling the viewer. The tension is palpable, born from the artist's own forced migration. We are witnessing a rupture, a violent tear from the familiar, yet from this very dislocation, this chasm of identity, emerges a potent and entirely new visual vocabulary. This work does not sit comfortably within the established canon. Walk through any major national museum, and you will find art history neatly compartmentalized by borders and timelines. The Italian Renaissance, the Dutch Golden Age, American pop art. These categories presuppose a stable, rooted identity, an artist whose work is an extension of a singular national soil. But Vask's installation defies such easy classification. It is a ghost in the machine of art history, belonging everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. It is a product of what cultural theorist Homi K. Bhabha termed the third space, a liminal zone of hybridity where the émigré artist, caught between the memory of a homeland and the reality of a hostland, forges a new existence. This is not simply about nostalgia. It is a complex negotiation of trauma, memory, and reinvention. The artist's statement, printed in stark white text on a black gallery wall, speaks of the phantom limb of home, a presence defined by its aching absence. The projected symbols are not just decorative. They are data points of a lost culture, digitized and reanimated to resist erasure. The technology itself, the projectors, the synthesized soundscape, the translucent screens, becomes a metaphor for the fragile, permeable nature of memory in a digital age. Historically, artists in exile have often turned to more traditional media to process their displacement. Think of Marc Chagall, whose canvases are filled with floating figures and dreamlike visions of his Russian shtetl, Weitbecks, painted from his new life in Paris. Or Max Beckmann, whose claustrophobic, allegorical triptychs, created after fleeing Nazi Germany, captured the spiritual and psychological horror of his time. Their work was a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit, but it was largely contained within the frame, a window into a world of memory. Vask's generation of émigré artists, however, has a different toolkit. They wield digital media, immersive environments, and interactive technologies, not just to represent their experience, but to replicate the very sensation of dislocation for the viewer. We are not just looking at a memory, we are walking through its fragmented, glitching architecture. The work forces us to confront the fluid, often painful nature of identity in our hyper-connected yet deeply fractured world. It challenges the very notion of a static, monolithic culture, suggesting instead that culture is a constant process of translation, adaptation, and recombination. It is a dialogue, not a monologue. The installation's hum is the sound of this dialogue, the friction between past and present, here and there. It leaves us standing in the quiet dark, surrounded by shimmering ghosts of place and time, wrestling with a profound question. How does displacement, a forced exodus from home, a state of profound loss and rupture, paradoxically become the most fertile ground for groundbreaking artistic expression today? Extending that cartography of loss, we turn from the immersive gallery space to the piercing clarity of the digital screen, to the works of Sana Al-Haj, an artist in diaspora whose digital collages embody this nomadic aesthetic with a raw, confrontational power. Her seminal Atlas of Scars series, a standout feature in the latest Venice Biennale, takes this exploration to a new, intensely personal and political level. The pieces are not paintings, nor are they simple photographs. They are complex digital composites, vast canvases of data and memory. Al-Haj begins with high-resolution satellite imagery of her war-torn homeland, the cold, detached eye of orbital technology capturing the scarred landscapes of her youth. Upon this foundation of geopolitical reality, she meticulously layers scanned family photographs, a faded portrait of her grandmother, a sun-bleached image of a childhood home that no longer exists. The final, crucial layer is composed of AI-generated flora, impossible, resilient flowers that seem to grow from the digital rubble, their neon petals a defiant bloom in the face of destruction. They are, in her words, synthetic memories of a future that was stolen. Al-Haj methodology, detailed with academic rigor in the Biennale catalog, reveals a sophisticated fusion of post-internet art, archival research, and documentary practice. Central to her work is the deliberate use of glitch aesthetics. For Al-Haj, the glitch, the data corruption, the pixelation, the jarring tear in the image, is not an error to be corrected. It is the core of her visual language, a precise and devastating metaphor for cultural fragmentation, the breakdown of statehood, and the violent process of forced reassembly that defines the refugee experience. Where a satellite image is torn, revealing a family portrait beneath, it speaks to the human cost hidden by media narratives. Where a face is distorted by a block of corrupted pixels, it signifies the loss of identity, the struggle to hold on to a coherent self in the face of overwhelming trauma. This is not the nihilistic glitch of early net art. This is a glitch with a memory and a conscience. Her vibrant, almost violent color palette, electric blues, acid yellows, magenta, serves to juxtapose the stark reality of displacement with a defiant assertion of beauty and life. It is a refusal to be seen only through the lens of victimhood. The Venice Biennale, with its structure of national pavilions, provides a powerfully ironic stage for Al-Haj's work. Exhibited in a collateral event, her art exists outside the tidy, state-sanctioned narratives, mirroring her own stateless position. Critical reviews and publications like Artform have lauded her for weaponizing the digital archive, for transforming passive data into an active, emotional weapon against forgetting. This work resonates deeply within the current geopolitical landscape, where refugee crises and border politics dominate headlines. It challenges the comfortable distance of the Western gaze, which often consumes images of distant suffering as news or data. Al-Haj's work collapses that distance, forcing an intimate, empathetic engagement. The consequence is a seismic ripple in the global art market. Her pieces now command six-figure sums at auction, sparking fierce debates. Can trauma, so intimately rendered, be ethically commodified? Does a collector's acquisition of an Atlas of Scars piece contribute to the conversation on human rights? Or does it merely aestheticize the suffering of others, turning a political statement into a luxury good? Al-Haj herself addresses this, stating that the market provides a platform for her narrative to infiltrate spaces of power it would otherwise never reach. Yet the tension remains, a sharp-edged and uncomfortable truth. The echo here is profound, questioning the very capacity of art in a capitalist world. Can art truly bridge the chasm between disparate realities, or does it simply decorate the walls of the abyss? From that digital cartography of scars and the rarefied air of the art market, we observe how these émigré visions permeate and enrich the very fabric of global culture, spilling out from the gallery walls onto the streets. This is where the dialogue becomes a public shout. Consider the impact on urban landscapes. Street murals by anonymous collectives in the Kreuzberg district of Berlin or the Hamra neighborhood of Beirut. Often created by artists who themselves sought refuge, these works transform gray, neglected walls into vibrant, monumental tapestries of cultural fusion. In Berlin, a collective known as the Calligraphy Ghosts, composed of Syrian and Iraqi artists, merges the ancient, fluid grace of Kufic script with the bold, aggressive lines of contemporary German graffiti. Their murals depict figures from Middle Eastern folklore intertwined with symbols of modern urban life: a djinn holding a smartphone, a phoenix rising from a bombed-out cityscape. The visual language is immediate, powerful, and deeply symbolic. It is a reclamation of narrative, a public intervention that asserts a presence in a new homeland while honoring the memory of the old. These murals are not merely decorative, they are vital acts of placemaking. In cities grappling with the politics of integration and the rise of xenophobia, these artworks create visible anchors for diasporic communities. They are a declaration: we are here, we have a history, we are part of this city's future. The medium itself is a form of protest. By circumventing the traditional, often exclusionary gallery system, these artists speak directly to the people, initiating a conversation on the street level. The process is often collaborative, involving local youth and residents, turning the act of painting into a form of community building. This phenomenon is a direct, visceral response to the silencing of migrant voices in mainstream political discourse. These artists, working outside of institutional frameworks and often at great personal risk, leverage art as a powerful tool for advocacy and cultural education. They push back against the homogenizing pressure of assimilation, arguing instead for a model of integration built on fusion and mutual enrichment. The vibrant colors and intricate patterns are a visual counter-narrative to the drab, fearful rhetoric of anti-immigration movements. This grassroots movement presents a unique challenge to the art world. The market, initially slow to recognize its significance, now grapples with its authenticity and value. How do you collect an ephemeral wall? How do you prevent its raw political message from being diluted by commercialization? We see attempts to solve this puzzle: gallerists commissioning editioned prints based on the murals, photographers documenting the works before they are inevitably painted over, and, in some controversial cases, sections of walls being physically removed and sold. Each of these acts raises difficult questions. Does documenting the work preserve its spirit, or does it transform a living, breathing piece of the city into a static, marketable object? When a city council commissions a mural from a previously clandestine artist, does it empower their voice or co-opt their dissent, turning protest into sanctioned public decoration? The tension is a constant negotiation between visibility and integrity. The echo persists, a question not just for the art world, but for all of us living in an era of mass migration and cultural flux. In an ever-globalizing world where cultures collide and merge on our very streets, how do we ensure these vital, challenging voices continue to resonate without losing their revolutionary edge? Their art is a mirror, reflecting the complex, beautiful, and often painful reality of our modern, interconnected existence. Look closely at the walls of your own city. The echoes are there,